chat with us at BFM anytime, anywhere for free. Don't forget to add BFM 부산영어방송 to your Kakao friends list.
Man, I haven't got a chance. I call him.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Listeners, do you remember early yesterday morning, in the wee hours, it began with massive thunder and lightning, accompanied by torrential downpours. And then in the morning, right after a program, I remember I was caught in the sudden downpours, and I'm sure many of you were. Some people even without umbrellas, right? Unexpectedly, that rain came down. Even the weather authorities couldn't forecast the amount of rain yesterday, this thunderstorm. The unstable atmosphere may mean further showers for the rest of the week. So we have to be fully prepared for what may come. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Thursday, July 25th on befm 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. Welcome to our program. I am looking out our little window. I don't know what's in store for us. We're going to have to wait for our weather report. I see a little bit of sun, but I do see clouds as well. So yesterday, though, that was a rough day in terms of weather. It was on and off, and yes, I definitely needed my little umbrella that I had with me all day. The sudden showers, I mean, it came down really hard. I saw many people that didn't have an umbrella, that they were literally soaked to the bone, right, as they say. And then in the afternoon, oh my gosh, it was like suddenly like just like so hot with the sun coming out. And that, what does that mean? You had to like, you know, after you got wet, you have to like lather up with a sunscreen again to protect yourself under that sudden burst of sunlight. And of course, yes, let's not forget that massive thunderstorm that came, you know, early morning, dumping about 150 millimeters of rain during the night before. But here's the thing, even the Korea Meteorological Administration, KMA, didn't forecast this rain, or they couldn't do so properly. After the storm, the weather authorities, they tried explaining this, and, you know, let's not try to blame them. They had expected the cold front from the north to linger over the central part of the country, bringing rain over this region. But this cold front actually traveled down toward us at a faster rate than expected. On top of this, Typhoon Kemi pushed up this warm, humid northern Pacific high-pressure front. And then when those two forces met, there came the thunderstorm and the rain. Oh, that rain, yes. And you know what? Well, who can we blame? Mother Nature, basically. Well, the weather has become much more unpredictable. And I don't know, who can we blame for that? Well, we have to be fully prepared for basically anything at this point. And I don't know, if we look at the bigger picture about climate change and things like that, I mean, who can we point the finger to? I guess at ourselves. Anyhow, that's our main topic for today. We're going to get to our text topic for this Thursday morning, though. Pretty simple, or is it? All right, first up, are you a morning person? Are you an early bird? Or are you a night owl? So let's duke it out, okay, between the two camps. Also, tell me about the upsides or maybe even the downside of being an early bird or a night owl. 자, 여러분은 아침형 인간, 저녁형 인간 어떤 쪽이신가요? 그리고 각 타입의 장단점도 말해주시고 그리고 서로 우리 좀 설득해 봅시다. 저는 I'll go first. I am such a morning person. I am definitely an early bird. Can you tell? I haven't Not yet. Knock on wood, whatever, superstitions, cross my fingers. I haven't been late yet. I haven't missed a broadcast because of oversleeping. Not yet. So I'm not much of a night owl. I can't stay up past a certain time. And I like waking up early. It gives me lots of time to do what I need to do all day long. But that's just me. But you can maybe convince me otherwise. Try to convince me. Maybe I'll turn into a night owl. Maybe I'll miss the program. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Go to the platform, search for BEFM, 부산영어방송. Subscribe, log in, and chat away with our other waivers. Pound 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can reach me for free on Kakao Talk. Go to that platform. Yes, same thing. Search for BEFM, 부산영어방송. You can listen to us in so many different ways. 90.5, 103.3 FM on the radio. Like I said, on the platform YouTube, we're live right now. You can watch again on the platform. We also have the Patbang app as well. It is Thursday. What are we going to cover? We have Beyond the Headlines. We have Han. That's with Lydia, by the way. Han is coming in with City Insights. For our special interview, this has been the talk of the town for the past couple of weeks about these Deca YouTubers. Is there a way to rein these people in, these entities on YouTube that have been so prominent? Some of these YouTubers, yes, they serve a purpose, and some of them are so unchecked, unfiltered. And we wonder, isn't there a way to kind of check them? Well, let's find out. We're going to speak to our legal expert in hour number 2, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06, and these are today's headlines. Rival parties expected to clash over special pro bills. The opposition Democratic Party, or DP, is set to bring up the controversial bills for a vote at the National Assembly today, while the ruling People Power Party, or PPP, gears up for a filibuster. Parties at odds over broadcasting watchdog chair. Parliamentary parties clashed over the confirmation for former MBC journalist Lee Jin-suk as the new chair of the Korea Communications Commission, or KCC. Tmon and We Make Price experience prolonged payment delays. South Korean e-commerce retailers Tmon and We Make Price, or WeMap, are suffering payment delays from the group's liquidity difficulties. Birth rate rises for a second consecutive month in May. Statistics Korea said yesterday that 19,547 infants were born in May, up 2.7% from the same period last year, marking the second consecutive increase in the birth rate. Netanyahu addresses U.S. Congress. Some Democrats boycott speech. In his speech to the U.S. Congress, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called for America and Israel to stand together amid large protests against his visit. And this was today's headlines. All right, it's time to check in with Haley for Busan Updates. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's start this discussion. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
My heart tells me night owl, but my body tells me, and my schedule tells me early bird. But you know what's really fun?
Yes.
That hour between, I love going to bed early and just lying there and just scrolling on my phone because, all the social media short form videos, and those are the most fun between the hours of 10:30 and midnight. This is so specific, but right? And then I tell myself at 11, I'm like, nope, put it down, set it down, go to bed because hello. But yeah, but it's so fun.
My most favorite time and day, Friday night.
Right?
I can do that and not worry about, the next morning because I don't have morning wake.
And here's the thing. Do you still wake up at the same time
I
Saturday?
do.
And I'm like, why?
I do.
Like, your my bum went to bed at 1. Why am I up at 5?
Sometimes I try to go to bed really, really late. Like I've gone to bed at 2 a.m. My eyes fly open 4:30
And
without
you're like
the alarm.
weirdly alert. And I'm like, why can't I be this alert on a Wednesday? Like, I'm never this not tired. So
Right. So we have a message. Somebody wants to know, 아침형 되니 뭐가 좋던가요?
your days are long. Like,
Yes.
I get so much done.
I do too.
I
Ahead of
feel
time.
like, right? And I'm like, it's 10 a.m., but I've already like done 2 jobs. I'm like, all right, cool. Cool.
I came in early. I got some stuff done already. I'm like, I'm
it's
good
very
to go.
productive.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's tiring though.
But I want to stay in bed and watch shorts all night long.
Sometimes I do too. I want to be lazy.
I know this
Yes.
is so bad for your brain, but I just want to do it. That's all I want.
All right. Well, we're going to get to our first update. We covered this on our special interview yesterday, but the number of whooping cough patients, pertussis, or pegide in Busan, it's been on the rise.
Right. So according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency's infectious disease portal,
Yes.
as of July 23rd, there were 524 whooping cough patients in Busan for the entire year. But here's what's striking. The figure started going up significantly in the double digits starting this spring and then spiked to triple digits in the summer. So for instance, 111 in June and over 300 this month alone. So there's
Right.
definitely an escalation. And this comes after 0 cases during the COVID years.
Right.
And on top of that, 84% of all patients are children and teenagers. We're definitely seeing a lot of news about this going on in schools. So parents are expressing concerns because, as Dr. Alice Tan said yesterday, the initial symptoms, they do mirror a cold. And it is like air conditionitis or 냉방병, the air condition induced cold season.
Yes.
So initially we're just unsure, and then the kids get really sick. So there's that whole thing.
Indeed. So please be aware, of all the symptoms and get checked. Get that PCR test if you need
Right,
to.
yes.
All right, next up, there is a pilot program that will offer Alzheimer's and dementia management at neighborhood clinics.
Right. And this is a really big issue as, we are an aging society. Busan's
Yes.
already a super aged society. So the health ministry is running a pilot program in 22 cities, counties, and districts with patients who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia will be put under the management of local clinics or doctors' offices. So right in their neighborhood. So this will take place across 143 medical centers. So patients will not only get help for their Alzheimer's, but also other pre-existing conditions and also preventive care. And there are different programs for guardians and caregivers to get training on this as well.
Okay.
And also medical staff checking whether the patients have been taking their various medications and also care for other ailments, including high blood pressure and diabetes.
Well, what about the cost?
Right. So patients will only have to foot 20% of the entire bill. And also 10%, only 10% if they qualify as having severe symptoms. So the maximum cost for the entire year's worth of treatments and care at a clinic, according to the health ministry, will be 172,000 won. That's for 12 months. So it's really not bad at all.
Yes.
And then with aging elderly care, especially for Alzheimer's and dementia, that's a serious issue and an expensive cost to society if left unattended. So the health ministry estimates the cost of care to be around 22 million won per person per year if left unattended. And aging puts this estimated number of Alzheimer patients at 3.4 million by the year 2060. So the plan is to expand the number of hospitals and doctors that'll participate. And you can see the full list of current participating doctors' offices at the National Institute of Dementia or 중앙 치매 Center website.
Well, I'm definitely glad we have this for people who need it. So spread the word. All right, next, Busan City is combining its 동백패스 and the nationwide K-Pass system.
Right, so it's been a confusing couple of months
Yes.
for public transportation riders because do you use the Busan 동백패스 or the nationwide K-Pass?
Exactly.
What's the difference? So good news. They're merging, so transportation users can get more cash back starting next month on August 1st.
Okay.
The K-Pass and 동백패스 will be combined and automatically offer you the better cashback service for using public transportation. So the difference is 동백패스, of course, for Busan City only, it's 45,000 won to 45,000 won. So if your public transportation usage exceeds 45,000 won, then you get up to the next 45,000 won back as cashback on your 동백전 card.
Sure.
But here's the thing. If you only used 44,900 won, nothing. So you just have to hit that point. But then for the K-Pass, it gives you between 20 and 53% of cashback if you use public transportation at least 15 times. So the math is if you use public transportation more often, you do get a better deal from 동백패스. But if not, better deal from K-Pass. Well, now you don't have to do the math because they'll do it for you.
Thank goodness.
So under the new merger, the users get higher cashback rates based on their usage and whatever benefits them more. So how can you do this? If you have a 동백패스, sign up with a K-Pass and register your 동백패스 under the K-Pass and just keep using your 동백패스 card.
Well, I'm glad they merged. It was
Right,
kinda confusing.
definitely easier.
Yes. Well, thank you for the updates, Haley. Now it's back to you, the listeners. We're talking about early birds versus night owl. Well, we're debating which are you? Why is it better to be an early bird versus a night owl? Are there downsides? Are there upsides? That's what we're discussing. Here's your traffic and weather for right now. It is now 7:16 and here's your traffic report. There is an accident on Nakdong-Namno from Hadan to Myeongji in that direction. There is a car collision on Nakdong-Gang-Haguduk, that area right there. And there is another bout of congestion where a car has broken down on Chungnyeol-daero from Minam to Mandok direction right before the Mandok Tunnel number 2. That's obviously causing a lot of congestion right there. It's also looking slow from Hwangyang Tunnel to the Dongso overpass right now. It's going to be another hot one, as today is Jungbok, the second of the 3 dog days of summer. It's currently 26 and relatively clear. The daytime high will go up to 33 degrees Celsius with chances of showers in the afternoon, so you're going to need an umbrella. The entire country is under a heat wave advisory, with some parts seeing up to 35 degrees Celsius in real field temperatures. There's also sporadic rain or showers forecast across the country. So you're going to need both sunscreen and a little umbrella with you today. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now time for news. Haley's with us once again. We're going to jump into our first story. We're going to talk about this possible crisis brewing involving some of our e-commerce platforms. I touched upon it with today's headline. So what's going on?
Right, we're talking about this whole Tmon and WeMap or WeMake price thing. So people who bought things. It started with trips and now just the products have had their products or purchases canceled. And some sellers, including major department stores, they have suspended sales on these platforms. And actually, as news broke, over 200 customers physically went to the WeMap headquarters in Gangnam late last night. It actually got so bad that the CEO actually came to work at midnight, and the company started processing some refunds by 3 a.m. this morning. But that's only for the customers who physically went there.
Okay.
So as the refund requests have been pouring in, payment gateway companies, basically the middleman companies that process the transactions for
Right.
e-commerce platforms, they've blocked new transactions or cancellations. So what that means, people who paid for products or trips on Tmall and WeMap are unable to get refunds at this point.
Oh, and so people are not going to be happy. Why is this happening, though?
Right. So to understand why this is happening, we have to look at how platforms like Tmall and WeMap and basically all the other e-commerce platforms operate.
Okay.
So individual sellers, they post their products on these e-commerce platforms. And when consumers buy them, well, we pay Tmall and WeMap directly.
Okay.
So what the companies need to do is then they need to pay the sellers. They need to settle the accounts. In Korean, that's called 정산. So apparently, Tmall and WeMap, they have not been settling their balance with the sellers more frequently than others do. So for instance, Naver Shopping, one of the country's biggest e-retailers, they settle their balance every 2 to 3 days. Tmall and WeMap, it takes about 45 days after somebody buys the product.
Oh, really?
Right,
Oh.
right.
Okay, so why are Tmall and WeMap, these two that we're talking about today, taking so long to settle their balance with the sellers? Because you just said Naver
Right.
does it in 2 to 3 days.
So they're not small companies. So why
Right.
is it taking not only a month, but a month and a half?
Right.
So they seem to be having a liquidity problem. And for that, we have to go up to their parent company.
Okay.
So this is why it gets so convoluted. So Tmall and WeMap are owned by an e-commerce platform called Q10. We're not really familiar with it because it's based in Singapore, but it's huge in Southeast Asia.
Right.
Interestingly, though, the CEO of Q10, Korean businessman Gu Young-bae, who he is, he's the founder of Gmarket, which is South Korea's first open market platform.
Right.
But he sold Gmarket to eBay, and this isn't confirmed, but experts say there likely was a non-compete clause in the contract when he sold it.
Likely.
Basically, which bans him from working in the same industry in Korea for a set amount of time.
Yes.
Presumably 10 years, because that led him to outside of Korea to lead Q10. And then roughly 10 years after the sale, he came back, presumably after this non-compete clause expired. So back in 2009, he bought Tmall, WeMap, Interpark, the U.S. platform Wish, and AK Mall in the matter of 3 years. It's not all. Actually, Q10 has about 60,000 partners. 60,000. Yeah, that's not wrong. 6만. So, but why? So, well, experts say that he actually wants to take his company public on the NASDAQ. And they
NASDAQ,
don't just
okay.
take any company. So they're basically sizing up by buying up
Yes.
all of these subsidiaries. But here's the thing. You need money to buy
Yes.
companies. So there are two ways you can get a fast injection of cash. Number one, from outside investors. But that means more people will have controls or stakes over the company, which you don't want if you're trying to take your company public, at least
Right.
in this case. So they looked inward for that cash flow. So we go back to the money that's tied up for 45 days for the sellers, and they've been just kind of circulating that money around before balancing those settlements.
But I'm wondering now, why is this blowing up now if, these kind of practices have been going on for, I'm assuming, at least the past few years?
Right. So, well, for that, what's happened to the Korean online retail market recently? C-commerce. Right. So Chinese commerce. So
Yes.
Tmall, WeMap, and really any other domestic platform, they've lost massive number of shoppers to Alteshi, right? AliExpress, Temu, and Shein. So experts say that, this overexpansion on the Tmall, WeMap, and Q10 front met with underperformance triggered by Chinese commerce platforms led to this kind of perfect storm of a fiasco. By the way, experts estimate that overall about 1 trillion won may be tied up without being settled to the sellers. So number one, this is a primary concern with the sellers, but then if they're going to pull pull their products or cancel refunds. And ultimately, this does come down to the customers as well.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you for explaining it so thoroughly. I know it's very complicated, and I hope our listeners fully understand now what is going on. All right, next, let's talk about North Korea launching yet another round of trash-filled balloons, one of which made its way to the presidential office.
Right, so huge deal. So North Korea fired the 10th round of trash-filled balloons for this year. This came yesterday morning. And according to the South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff, the North launched these balloons at a higher altitude than usual. So they flew at an altitude of at least 2 kilometers.
Okay.
And for the first time ever, some of them landed in the Yongsan presidential official compound. So the Secret Service or the Security Service said that they detected the fallen balloons while monitoring the situation in cooperation with the Joint Chiefs. And they initially had the biochemical hazard team respond to it to make sure everything was okay. Confirmed that nothing posed a big hazard, so they collected and discarded the material. So the presidential office said that they were monitoring the situation in real time, but they do understand the gravity of the situation as it is a major security breach. What if it had not been kind of a harmless material?
Right.
And the South Korean military maintains the position, however, that they do not shoot down these balloons because if, they burst midair, then that could spread contents onto the ground, which would be a bigger issue.
Right. And so these balloon launches are definitely for like a tit-for-tat measure against South Korea's propaganda broadcast. But the defense minister warned that the North may kind of up its response.
Right. So far it's been kind of these odd but harmless balloons. However, Defense Minister Shin Won-sik said that there is a possibility that the North may fire at the spots where civic groups are sending anti-Pyongyang leaflets. And he also mentioned the possibility of cyber attacks like GPS jamming from the North. So in an interview, Shin said that North Korea is believed to have sent containers that carry more than 5 million artillery shells to Russia, including containers, including as well as scores of short-range ballistic missiles.
Yes. All right, that's what's happening on that front. We're going to move to our next story. The medical field formed this special committee to represent itself in its discussions with the government. However, the committee has been shut down.
That will be no more. So the Special Committee for Medicine has decided to terminate its operations, according to the Korea Medical Association's president, Im Hyun-taek, yesterday. So this is upon refusal from the two key groups, the trainee doctors and medical students, to participate in this group. So it's basically ineffective in creating a unified position. So the committee has a discussion scheduled for tomorrow where doctors will discuss the state of medicine in the country. But after that, basically it will disband.
Yes. And so in the meantime, we have some new data on the state of medical treatment and how long people are waiting to see doctors. And
Right. So this is for last year.
Okay.
So the wait isn't terribly long, but the length of face-to-face time with a doctor is far, far shorter than your wait time.
Oh.
And this is according to the 2023 Medical Services Survey by the Korea Institute for Health and Social Affairs, over 14,000 people.
Okay.
So 55% of the people said that their doctor's visit face-to-face time under 5 minutes, which, personal anecdotal evidence checks out. 17% said that they saw the doctor in under 3 minutes. Right. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Yes.
And only 16% said that their visits lasted over 11 minutes.
Yes.
So, interesting. On the contrary, average waiting time for outpatient treatments was 18 minutes. So they're waiting triple the time that they are seeing the doctor. Well, but however, 76.7% said that they have faith, they trust the country's medical system.
Okay.
And here's my very personal experience. I go there for the very common cold or like a tiny stomach issue. They already have and it's my usual doctor, so he already has everything on file. So it's usually, can I get a prescription? My throat hurts again. I can't talk less. Cool, bye. But of course, people's experiences may differ.
Sure.
Interestingly, in terms of your perception on your health, people in rural areas had more negative perceptions about their general health and said that they experienced more chronic illnesses compared to those in urban areas.
I see.
This may have to do with the access to medical care as well. And for them, cost was unfortunately a burden. 8% of people who have multiple chronic illnesses say they gave up on treatment due to concerns about the money.
Oh, really? Ah, well, that is interesting. All these factoids about what's happening in the wait time. All right. Let's move on to actually, that's it
That's
for
it.
today. Yes.
That is
sorry.
all.
Yes, that's it. That was the last bit of our news. And we will check in with you for issue waglwa글. That's coming up in hour number 2. So
That's
thank you
right.
for the top news items. And that was Haley once again with News Digest. All right. Let's get to our text topic real quick. We're going to get to our song. We are. But, for the text topic, I do want to ask you, revise it just a little bit. When we're talking about whether you're an early bird or a night owl, in terms of what's the benefit of being a night owl, or why is it good to be an early bird? So along those lines is what we're waiting for. And here is Take Me Home, Country Road by Lisa Ono.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painting on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eyes. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home.
Yes, a nice remake by Lisa Ono. Welcome back. It's now 7:33 on this Thursday morning. Oh, I see more of the sun. It's kind of a love-hate thing. I love the sun, but I don't know. Humidity? Yes, we're talking about the heavy and sporadic rain from yesterday. By the way, was anybody caught in that rain? I saw this poor woman. She didn't have an umbrella. Oh, I wanted to give her my umbrella. I was like, but it was coming down so hard. She was literally soaked, and I felt bad for her. She was wearing a white top. And she was trying to cover her head with a sheet. It was literally a sheet of paper. And I was just like, in my head, I was thinking, that is doing you no good. And that's how heavy it came down yesterday. Busan City got up to 160 millimeters of rain in the span of 3 hours under a heavy rain warning. A man in his 80s was stranded in his home in Sinpyeong-sa district as his house was flooded. The good news, he was rescued, so he's safe. The fire department received 16 reports of flooding across homes and stores. They've also had to tend to 33 safety-related calls, including overflowing sewers and gutters. The damage was concentrated in Saha, Seogu, Yeongdo-gu, and Jungu districts, which saw heavy rain. As I said, the Meteorology Administration didn't even forecast that rain and such unexpected downpours. This can really lead to heavy damages. But unpredictability is becoming a pattern this rainy season. So, once again, please take every precaution necessary. Make sure your homes, properties are ready. And we just don't know anymore at this point. We could have another day like yesterday where it just comes down suddenly. And I think we're just going to always have to have like a really small umbrella with us at all times at this point. Now it's back to you. And yes, the text topic. Are you an early bird morning person or a night owl kind of person? But I want to know the reason why. What's like the 장점? What's the positive side of being a night owl? Or what's the upside of being an early bird? Try to convince me. Or, you know, other people out there, the waivers out there. 자, 여러분은 아침형 인간, 저녁형 인간. 어떤 쪽이신지, 그리고 왜 각 타입의 장단점을 얘기해 주신데 아침형이면 장점이 뭔지, 그리고 저녁형인데 왜 뭐가 좋아요? Well, I have a message from Lee Kelly who says this. Less people to annoy you if you are a night owl. You don't have to deal with the sweltering heat of the day. Oh, that's true. During summer, it's just so unpleasant, but thank you for your comment. I was kind of surprised at Drift Monkey's response because he said that he is more of a night owl. But he doesn't see any benefits to it. If anything, it's better to be an early bird, more sunlight, more things are open. But I was remembering, I think from yesterday, didn't you say that you woke up like really, really early in the morning? So you're a night owl, but like you wake up so early. So I guess you're kind of both. How do you do it? Leslie says the benefits of being a night owl, being the one who is alert enough to drive at night during road trips. 저녁에 잘할 수 있으니까. Who can knock out loads of laundry without interruption and can prep dinner for the next evening. Interesting. All right, I will read more of your messages towards the end of hour number 1, but we got to get to our hot clip for right now. For today's hot clip, everybody has heard by now about that assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Well, now the U.S. Secret Service director has stepped down from her post. Here is a clip from CBS News.
The director of the Secret Service resigned today, one day after admitting the assassination attempt on Donald Trump was the agency's most significant operational failure in decades. Kimberly Cheatle drew sharp criticism from both parties.
10 days after the historic failure in Butler, Pennsylvania, Kimberly Cheatle resigned as U.S. Secret Service director, writing to colleagues, "This incident does not define us," and that she didn't want to be a distraction. In a statement, President Biden said Cheatle had shown incredible integrity.
I take full responsibility for any security lapse.
In graphic body camera footage from local police in the aftermath of the assassination attempt, agents can be seen standing over the bloody body.
Beaver County sniper seen and sent the pictures out. This is him. Okay.
Investigators also sought access to a drone. More revelations today. The Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner revealed 2 local police snipers were posted with a view of the roof used by the gunman, but left their posts to search for him. And that a local officer came face to face with the shooter minutes before the gunman pulled the trigger.
It was minutes. It was a very short period of time, even for his ability.
But not seconds.
I would say minutes.
Despite that encounter and rally goers pointing out Thomas crooks on the roof, he was still able to open fire, killing 1 and wounding 3 others, including former President Donald Trump, who posted on social media, "The Biden-Harris administration did not properly protect me." For John Abel, who was seated steps from Trump in the podium, the resignation was warranted.
I think it's kind of a slap in the face for everybody who was there that their safety was put on the line from their lack of competence.
An acting Secret Service Director, Ron Rowe, will now lead the agency. In the meantime, the U.S. House has launched a bipartisan task force to investigate the assassination attempt, with the Secret Service's own review due in about 2 months.
So as you heard in the clip, yes, he has stepped down. It's very rare when you have politicians from both sides of the aisle agreeing on something, anything. And so, yes, she has had to resign regarding the security failures surrounding that assassination attempt. So there you have it. That is our hot clip for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for Lydia. And beyond the headlines, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm
Great.
Enjoying the weather today.
Yes.
Yes.
The sun. Oh, it's still out, right? I don't know. I get nervous because
changes
yesterday.
really fast.
Yeah, it changed so quickly yesterday. So today's text topic, we're talking about early bird versus night owl. Which one are you?
I would say I'm naturally more of a night owl. If I have to choose, but I would like to be an early bird eventually.
Eventually.
Yes, I've noticed. I've tried both. So I'm more of like an early bird on days I am actually on the radio.
You have no choice.
And then that day I get way more done.
That's interesting. So do you find that you're more productive on days that you wake up earlier?
Yeah, I can be more focused in the morning than like versus like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So if I want to get quality work done,
yes,
I should do it early in the morning rather than at night. I've noticed that.
Okay. Well, very interesting. We're going to dive into whatever you've brought for us. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so, drug use is a topic that often makes headlines. And today I have a story that brings an unexpected twist that has scientists and conservationists buzzing. So imagine this: sharks on cocaine. Wait.
What?
No. More like cocaine in sharks. Yes, you heard that right. And no, sharks on cocaine is not like a new lingo that kids are calling nowadays. As like party animals. No. A new research has uncovered that sharks off the coast of South America are being found with traces of cocaine in their systems. The shocking find raises numerous questions about how these substances are entering marine ecosystems and broader implications for both environmental health and war on drugs.
I'm so shocked about this whole concept, this idea of cocaine in sharks. And it's not like, we're not talking about like people stuffing sharks.
Or it's not,
like,
we're not talking about
like smuggling drugs. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. Okay,
no, so what happened was sharks captured accidentally by fishermen between September 2021 and August 2023 were tested by scientists at the Oswaldo Cruz Foundation in Brazil.
Okay.
And they caught 13 Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks. And these were caught from waters off the city of Rio de Janeiro with, these beautiful pearly white beaches. And cocaine was present in both the liver and muscle tissues of all 13 of them. And according to this study, cocaine levels were around 3 times higher in muscle tissue than liver tissue. And interesting, female sharks had higher cocaine concentration in their muscle tissue compared to male sharks. And these sharks were chosen because of their small size. Apparently, sharp-nosed sharks they only get about 4 kilograms as adults. So as humans, we can kind of hold them with 2 hands easily. And the fact that they live in a small area of coastal waters where they're sort of exposed to significant amount of contaminant discharges that humans make throughout their life cycle.
We need to know. I have so many questions. I'm still flabbergasted as to how they got cocaine in their system.
Yes.
Do we know?
So Enrico Seggioro, an eco-toxicologist at the foundation, said cocaine gets into the sea from sewage discharges by people who use the drug, as well as from illegal labs that make these illicit drugs.
Okay.
Earlier research suggested that cocaine dumped or lost at sea by traffickers might be the cause, which apparently happens often in Mexico and in Florida. But that's not the case in this case for Brazil.
Not in Brazil? Okay.
So cocaine consumption has risen significantly worldwide in recent decades. About 22% users in South America, with Brazil being the second largest consumer. Researchers attribute this increased cocaine use level in the sea is the rising consumption and the whole poor sewage treatment infrastructure.
Well, let's talk about the implications regarding or surrounding illicit drugs on our ecosystem, because this is kind of mind-boggling.
It is really crazy, right?
Yes.
I mean, the ocean is pretty big.
Right.
And what are the chances that these tiny sharks happen to have all of them in their system, right?
Exactly.
Scientists say that it's very likely crabs, lobster, shrimp, fish, and other animals that sharks also prey on are probably contaminated with cocaine at this point. They explained that it's hard to determine the potential effects on human health or on the sharks' health.
Yes.
But cocaine has already entered the food chain, as sharks are routinely eaten by humans as well in Brazil and in many other countries. And the sad part is this specific type of sharks, they are considered vulnerable to extinction at this point due to overconsumption.
Oh, my goodness. Well, have there been other research or cases where traces of drugs have been found in marine life?
So back in 2021, researchers discovered that brown trout can become addicted to methamphetamine when it builds up in waterways. And just last year, scientists found that mussels in Puget Sound in Washington State, this is where Seattle is, I think.
Yes.
These mussels tested positive for the prescription opioid oxycodone. And we're of course aware that this area, I think, happens to have a huge issues with opioid epidemic.
Yes.
But still we don't know if that's direct relations to that, but that's happening. So the next plan for the foundation and this research team is to study other species of sharks and rays that live in a river near that area as well, and see what they find in their system. They're also looking at migratory fish like mullet to see if their movement patterns affect how much cocaine they accumulate. So I guess they're assuming that the fish might have cocaine in their system too, and how that affects how they move around and
right. And so
that.
we're thinking, well, this is in Brazil. This is not here. This is not on the peninsula. This is South America. But I mean, is it that bad?
It's pretty bad in South America. So just to give you insight on like what's happening, just a couple of days ago, sniffer dogs in Ecuador found over 6 tons of cocaine hidden in a banana shipment during a routine inspection at this deep water port.
Okay.
The shipment was destined for Germany, Europe, and it would have been worth $224 million had it reached its destination.
Okay.
Police ended up seizing over 5,500 parcels of cocaine and arrested 5 people. People who like work for the export company and like the manager of the banana plantation and the drivers and whatnot.
Right. So, I've heard, the president of Ecuador declared a state of emergency with gang-related crimes going on. So is this related at all or is it unrelated?
Yeah, it's like a real crazy issue happening in South America right now when their government, a wave of violent crime caused by gangs had led President Daniel Noboa to declare state of emergency in Ecuador.
Okay.
He deployed tens of thousands of police officers and soldiers. Ecuador became a major transit country for drugs only in recent years, I heard. Mainly cocaine that are made in Peru or Colombia, their neighboring countries, with criminal gangs using the ports in Ecuador to ship drugs to Europe and to the U.S. Ecuadorians apparently grew up watching news on TV about gang-related crimes in places like Mexico, and they said that they never thought that same would happen in their country. But it is like the sad reality for them right now. Last year, Ecuadorian security forces seized over 200 tons of drugs, mostly cocaine, making it the 3rd highest drug seizing country after the U.S. and Colombia.
Oh, really?
So despite all the efforts the president is trying to make, crimes related to these gangs remain pretty high and sadly increasing every year.
Right, but the thing is, like, these drug issues, they're not limited to, the U.S. or Europe or, South America or just, not in my area, kind of thing anymore. I mean, it's all over the place, right?
Right. Just to give you an idea, according to the latest report by the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime Report, around 300 million people worldwide use drugs, probably more. And that means 1 out of 17 people between ages 15 and 64 have used illegal drugs in the past year. And this means 23% more people are using drugs compared to 10 years ago. The report also highlighted that in 2023, cocaine production was at its all-time high, like ever. And in Korea, another report says that 3% of adults last year have responded that they have used illegal drugs, such as like marijuana, cocaine, heroin, things like that. And I think I just watched the news just the other day. This man in his 20s was like in the middle of the night walking around with his backpack, taking pictures of things like in this neighborhood. Apparently somebody was watching him in the camera. I guess someone working for the government thought that was like really sketch. Like, what are you doing? Taking pictures of like weird, like, I don't know, fixtures or something like that. Turns out he was dropping off drugs. So he was like a delivery guy. Like a, you know how like when you get deliver food and they take pictures and send you where that's like what he was doing with drugs.
With drugs? He was, the drop off?
Yeah, but he was making a lot of drop offs and I thought that was more crazy. Like, are there really that many people in that neighborhood
ordering drugs? And
I don't know if it's like one person that was ordering, but it's just kind of a sad, crazy reality that's happening really fast.
Yeah. Well, that's scary.
Yeah.
The fact that, we can't deny the fact anymore. Drugs apparently are here in Korea. So not anymore this whole idea of not in my country, not here in Korea. It's the drugs are here. They are here.
But you can always get help if anything happens.
I certainly hope so. I certainly do. Well, thank you so much for bringing us this very interesting story of how we are now just polluting everything including marine life. The
I know.
sharks, for goodness sake. Well, we'll check in with you next week, Lydia, so take care.
Yeah, see you next week. Have a good one.
All right. We're going to call it a wrap for hour number 1. We have a lot coming up in hour number 2 as well. How about this one for our final song for hour number 1, Mr. by Kara.
befm 부산영어방송.
다운이 실내 건조 세탁세제. 습한 실내 건조 시 빽빽히 널린 빨래는 냄새를 만들죠. 다운이 실내 건조 세탁세제. 보이지 않는 얼룩과 냄새를 싹. 세탁세제도 역시 다운이.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 bfm 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Hello everyone, I'm James from India. Ever since I was a young boy in India, I have been surrounded by different Korean products, and this instilled a dream in me to explore Korea one day. This chance came for me in 2014 when I began attending Busan National University as a graduate student in computer engineering. I have lived in Korea for over 7 years, and I even run my own business now, a company that is developing a platform based on artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. From my experience, I can say with an absolutely certainty that Busan was the best place for me to start my business, thanks to the specialized blockchain zone. In the past 7 years, Busan has become my second home, and I obviously love it here. Global City Busan, we are in it together. This campaign was brought to you by BFM, 부산영어방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan. I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Rival parties expected to clash over special probe bills. The opposition, Democratic Party or DP, is set to bring up the revisions to 4 broadcasting-related acts and the special counsel bill over the military's handling of Marine Corporal Chez's death for a vote, while the ruling People Power Party or PPP is planning on filibustering the bills. With a number of bills on the docket, the stalemate over the filibuster and the DP's move to end the limitless debate may last until the end of this month. The DP yesterday urged newly elected PPP chair Han Dong-hoon to live up to his pledge to listen to public opinion by endorsing the special counsel bill. Han has said that he will push for a new bill for a special counsel chosen by a third party. Parties at odds over broadcasting watchdog chair. Parliamentary parties clashed over the confirmation hearing for former MBC journalist Lee Jin-suk as a new chair of the Korea Communications Commission, or KCC. During the hearing yesterday, Lee pledged to use her experiences to ensure that public broadcasters fulfill their social responsibility of objective news reporting. The main opposition, Democratic Party, slammed Lee as being unqualified for the job and accused her of allegedly misusing a company credit card during her tenure at Daejeon MBC. Lee refuted these claims and defended the controversial political remarks she made as a civilian and vowed to remain neutral while in public office. Timon and WeMap experience prolonged payment delays. South Korean e-commerce retailers Timon and We Make Price, known as WeMap, subsidiaries of Singapore-based e-commerce platform Q10, are suffering payment delays from the group's liquidity difficulties. With the latest delay, sellers, including travel agencies and department stores, are starting to suspend sales of their products on the platforms. From Tuesday, payment gateway services began blocking card payment cancellation for existing payments made on the platforms, causing refund delays for customers. Birth rate rises for a second consecutive month in May. Statistics Korea said yesterday that 19,547 infants were born in May, up 2.7% from the same period last year. This is the second consecutive increase and the first such streak since 2015. The number of marriages, meanwhile, rose 21.6% in May, the biggest ever on-year increase for the month, due in part to a rise in post-pandemic marriages and effects from state population policies, according to an official from the agency. The number of deaths, on the other hand, dropped 1.2% on year, resulting in a natural population decline of nearly 9%. Netanyahu addresses U.S. Congress, some Democrats boycott speech. In his speech to the U.S. Congress, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called for America and Israel to stand together, adding that Israel's enemies are America's enemies. Some 80 Democratic Party lawmakers did not attend the session in opposition to Netanyahu's address. Vice President Kamala Harris skipped the speech due to scheduling conflicts. A large number of people protested Netanyahu. During his congressional speech, the prime minister called anti-war protesters Iran's useful idiots. And this was News Highlights. It's time for Issue Wagle. Haley's back.
It is. I am. Good morning.
All right. You know, we sometimes watch detective shows that feature these incredible high-tech forensics that aid in catching criminals. I love these shows, by the way. But sometimes real life is just as, if not more dramatic than what's on TV, right?
What's your favorite crime show?
Oh, there are so many. I
love Bones while you think about that.
Oh, Bones?
Yeah.
I used to watch, what was it?
NCIS?
NCIS,
Yeah.
I know, and old.
Yeah.
And like, classic though.
Right.
I could watch those over and over. I know there were so many like spinoffs of those, but yes.
Right. So, I mean, we do see these like forensics, which
Yes.
I sometimes doubt because I have like zero knowledge. I'm like, is this real? Like, is science so advanced to that point where we can do X, Y, and Z? Apparently, yes. So, let this be a warning to budding criminals. So, Supreme Prosecutor's Office, they selected 5 excellent cases investigated by the Gangneung Regional Prosecution's Office. So, the authorities earlier, what they did, they arrested and indicted a man on rape charges. But he denied all the charges back then. And the prosecution unfortunately it was a he said, she said situation with only the word of the victim, his ex-girlfriend, to go off of. But in a video that the victim had submitted, there was a reflection of the alleged rape taking place on the washing machine's door. So, it was like it was a drum type washing machine. The door was open, ajar, and on the plastic was the reflection of what was going on, which was, it wasn't obvious. It wasn't clear when the video was first submitted, but forensics figured it out. So they zoomed in, they enhanced the image, and it was used as evidence. So at that point, the suspect admitted to everything. Right. So forensics was used in other rape cases to corroborate victims' statements. So there was a DNA and chemical analysis that raised an assault charge to rape. There was a pastor who sexually assaulted 2 this is egregious, middle school students who had stunted development. So it was obviously getting witness statements was difficult. However, the prosecution re-ran forensics on the cell phone that he had wiped clean and found evidence. Right. So I do want to quote, end this story with a quote from criminologist Park Ji-sun, who appeared on a TV show and said to all potential and current criminals, "We're all smarter than you." And this, science speaks for itself.
Love it.
Right.
I love it. I love the fact that they can just figure everything out.
Right.
Yes. Okay, so we are counting down the day, or is it days? The day?
To
When is the opening ceremony? Is it today, tomorrow?
It's I believe it's Saturday local time.
Local time, right? Tomorrow, right?
Right.
Okay. So we're counting down the days to the Paris Olympics. Team Korea is currently in Paris, but the size of this delegation has drawn the attention of many people.
Right. And by the way, we do have a special interview on that tomorrow.
Yes.
But we already knew this. The number of athletes who qualify to go to the Paris Summer Olympics is the smallest it's been in over, 40 years. So we are looking at 144 athletes across 22 sports. And by the way, in terms of like group events, women's handball is the only like ball sport that qualified. Interesting thing though.
Yes.
The number of non-athletes that are going.
How many?
The same.
What?
If not more than the couple other Olympics. So let's look back to the Tokyo Summer Games, where there were 232 athletes and 122 staff and executives from the Olympic and Sports Association going. So 122. This year, 144 athletes, 144, 118 118 So why? It's a great question.
Why?
But another why.
With tilted head.
Like, one might say, who cares? Why does this matter?
I care.
It matters because it's your money and mine and hers and, all of ours.
We all pay taxes.
We're
Why?
paying for this trip out of our taxpayer funds.
Yes.
So the total budget that's been allocated for the Paris Olympics is 12.1 billion won. And that is double the money that was sent to Tokyo and London. Once again, why? Well, okay, here's why. The money includes not only the cost of travel and accommodations for the athletes and the executives, the athletes training camp, but the Korea House, which will be the biggest ever. So because it'll feature the first ever cultural promotion zone, which is fine, K-culture being what it is, sure. But the thing is, real estate. We're talking about Paris. Is it not one of the most expensive cities in the world? But even within Paris, there are pockets of land or buildings that would have been cheaper to rent. Oh, not here, because this Korea House is in Zone or District 7, which is also home to the Eiffel Tower and Musée d'Orsay, Orsay Museum.
Yes.
Yeah, so some critics are saying, is this really the best way to spend money? Yeah.
Well, how did the delegation manage to secure such a huge budget?
Well, here's the thing. If you're the one stamping that approval stamp on your own budget, things are easier. Yeah, and there are no checks. So the Korea Sports and Olympics Committee is in charge of allocating its own budget. So the committee explained, though, even though the number of athletes has gone down, the support staff needs to remain more or less the same. So that's their explanation. But also the team that's in charge of the budget is currently in Paris. So the committee says that they can't explain everything right now, and they will once that team returns from Paris.
I see.
So there's that.
Okay. Well, fighting,
right?
Nonetheless,
I mean, nothing
let's be
about the
supportive.
athletes, but
of course,
just how the admin side of things are done.
Sure. Next, there's a case where a whole elementary school class is refusing to go to school. What is going on?
Right. So this seems to be a conflict between a parent and a homeroom teacher that's led to a boycott of classes by 23 students and their parents.
Let's find out.
So what happened is a parent apparently lodged complaints about this particular teacher's methods and guidance. And the parent also requested the school to change the teacher. We want a new teacher. She or he wants a new teacher. So that prompted the teacher to take sick leave from July 8th to the end of the semester when summer break started. But once this became known, the parents of the other 23 students in the class, they protested. They like the teacher. They don't want the school to replace the teacher. So they're boycotting the class. So the parents all, and this is kind of we don't know what happened, so I'm not taking sides, but I'm just saying in terms of organization, this is incredible organization for all 23 parents to submit requests for family trips to pull the kids out of school. Yeah. So, I'm sure some of the parents are working parents and childcare has to be arranged. But so there's definitely something going on.
Yes.
And the parents are of the position that they will continue to boycott the classes through the next semester if the situation isn't resolved. And then what's interesting, so it's been a few weeks, but the 칠곡 Education Office, which is in charge of the school, only learned about it about a week into the case after the principal reported it. So there was a huge boycott going on. The authorities weren't aware of it. But the education office does say that the school is actively mediating the class. There's a group counseling going on right now. So hopefully it'll get resolved.
Well, you would think that they would have had maybe attempts were made to mediate before it got that far. But if 20 of all the other students actually went that far, if you're
and here's the thing, this is
extreme.
This is Korea where school is the school is important everywhere, but parents, I'm of the generation, my parents told me, go be sick at school.
Yeah.
So to be pulled out for so many days, and they're sixth graders. So it's not, it's not like, they're really missing out on education.
Yes.
So
Okay, for our final topic, the eternal debate. Here we go. Morning versus night people.
This is like a meme or like a joke. The only difference between a morning person and a night person is a morning person will be condescending to the night person about how productive we are. Why can't you wake up early?
What's wrong with you?
And is this everything I've said to my sister? Why, yes, it is. So night owls have sometimes been shamed for not making the most out of their day, being quote unquote lazy. There's brain function, blah, blah, blah. Good news, you're fine. You're fine.
Really?
Yeah.
We've been condescending
free.
for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. Be free. Watch all your short form videos. Well, or maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, so this is according to a joint research by an interesting group. The Korea Institute of Oriental Medicine and the Imperial College of London. So two very unlikely combinations, but this is why it's credible. So we're looking at it from both Western and Eastern medicine. So, right. This is on how being a morning type, a middle type, or an evening type may affect your memory and cognitive ability.
Sure.
So here's a definition. What constitutes you as a morning person? If you wake up between 4:30 and 6:30, you're a morning person. So that's all of us.
Yes.
If you're medium, 6:30 to 8:30 is medium. Evening person, if you wake up between 8:30 and 11:30. Beyond that, we don't know what you are.
You're just like,
are you a shift worker?
You're probably a shift worker,
or
yes.
just, a college student on summer vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are what you are. Interestingly, people in the evening type scored 7 to 14 points higher on memory and concentration.
What? Are you sure?
I'm just citing the study.
Okay.
But then I also want to know what time of the day this data was taken. Because if it was after 8 p.m., all the morning people are starting to get groggy at that point.
That's true, because that's not fair.
Yeah. I mean, but
when was the test taken?
I would like one of the researchers on this study to come on our program and explain themselves. Please.
I do too.
Please, we cordially invite you. Also, your ideal hours of sleep differed based on the type for at least memory loss prevention. So to prevent memory loss, if you are a morning type, 5 to 6 hours is okay. But by the way, this does go against what doctors are saying in terms of your longer term physical health. You do need to get more, but at least for memory loss prevention, morning people, 5 to 6 hours. Evening types, they did require more sleep at 7 to 8 hours.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. So Dr. Park Ji-eun, once again, we're inviting you, who ran the test, said that this study shows us that everyone has their own needs when it comes to sleep. And it's really important to kind of veer away from that bias or the stigma that evening people are lazy or morning people are more productive.
We have a comment from Taejin Waver. 어쩐지 아침에 좀 어눌해. It's basically saying 어쩐지 he's like
he's
not
a little
slow in the morning. I don't know. We need to find this Dr. Park.
Dr. Park?
Yes.
We'll be emailing you soon.
Well, thank you for going over all the hot issues. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right, now it's back to you. Here is your traffic and weather. is now 8:17. Here's your updated traffic report. There was an accident on Udong Overpass from Changsan Tunnel to Gwangan Bridge in that direction. It's been cleared up, but it's still causing a lot of backup. There's an accident on Kayadero from Jure intersection to Nakdong Bridge. A collision between a cargo truck and a car right on that ramp going to that bridge. It's looking slow on Jungwangdero from Seil Hospital to Choryang intersection. And it's kind of stop and go on Kojedero from Hamajong intersection to Songgong Three-Way intersection right now. Once again, it's going to be another hot one as today is Jungbok, the second of the 3 dog days of summer. Currently 26 and clear. It's going to go up to 33 degrees. However, there is a chance of showers in the afternoon. The entire country is under a heat wave advisory with some parts of the country seeing up to 35 degrees today in real feel temperatures. You can expect some sporadic showers forecast across the country. So yes, you need both sunscreen and an umbrella today. This is your traffic and weather. And this will be by Natalie Holt. Excuse me. Welcome back. It's now 8:21. I'm not sick. I'm not. I had a little something in my throat. All right. So today for our text topic, one last time, we've been talking about, early birds, night owls. So many of you have different biorhythms and just naturally speaking, Choi Yun-jung waiver says that she's both actually. 저는 둘 다예요. 잠을 많이 안 자는 편이에요. 저녁에는 12시 반쯤, 아침에는 5시 40분에 6시쯤 일어나요. So she goes to bed around like midnight, a little past midnight, gets up around 5:40 to 6. So she's kind of both. Interesting. And then we have also JB who says 아침형 인간, 저녁에 피곤하면 저녁형 인간은 아침에 피곤한답니다. So early birds are tired in the evening, and then yes, the late night owls are tired in the morning. It's kind of true. When I get up at 4:30 in the morning, but right around noonish to 2 p.m.ish, I get really, really sleepy. I do. And it has nothing to do with whether I had lunch or not. It's just that's kind of when like my body starts getting kind of really sluggish. And so I do need a little pick-me-up because I kind of find myself, if I don't take like a mini power nap, I start kind of shutting down like mentally. I was like, oh my gosh. So what I usually do is I do take a mini nap probably for like 10, 15 minutes. And then that kind of does a trick. It picks me right back up. But nothing longer than that. If I sleep longer than that, I feel like it kind of brings me down even more. So I try to limit myself. I time it. I put an alarm, set it for like 15 minutes. And that does a trick. That's for me, though, personally. Umberto says he's an early bird, 100%. Staying up late was never for me. Even though my cousins were dragging me to parties, I was like 10 p.m., time to go to bed. Ooh. Yeah, I was kind of one of those too. Yes. So what else? Tommy, nighttime, good for studying and reading. Morning, good for thinking and making plans. Interesting. And then we have Tori-님 who says, 아침형이 되고 싶었던 저녁형이에요. 아침 일찍 시작하는 부지런히가 되고 싶었으니 나 실패. Oh, so they say they really wanted to be an early bird. They tried. They wanted to be one of those like, go get 'em kind of early birds. They really, really tried, but just did not work out. So I think, as Haley said in our segment earlier, that it's just you might be naturally one way or the other, and it's perfectly fine. Anyhow, thanks for chiming in. Let's get to our special interview. Today's special interview is all about what's been hot all over the media. We've also been addressing this. Okay, so the rise of single-person media, especially over YouTube, has been prominent for the past few years. But we're also seeing the pitfalls of these kind of unchecked, unfiltered content creators. And you've probably heard about the case where a group of so-called wrecker YouTubers allegedly blackmailed a mukbang YouTuber out of massive amounts of money, threatening to expose her past abusive relationship if she didn't pay up, basically. And, obviously this probably isn't the only case, but this is probably the most prominent case that has come to light thus far. And even the prosecutor general has warned of stern action against stuff like this. So, why are there no regulations against these types of defamatory or false statements from airing in the first place? There's so many questions we need to find answers to. Let's try to get those answers. We've invited back to the airwaves Professor Song Se-ryun, who's professor of law at Kyung University, and he's joining us again. Hi, Professor. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining us once again. So this is obviously such a hot issue right now here in South Korea. And so the allegations against these so-called wrecker YouTubers surfaced after they allegedly blackmailed this very popular mukbang YouTuber, Jiang. And many people were not even aware that these Leka YouTubers, who they were, I certainly didn't, before this whole story broke. So can you explain what these creators do and why it's so problematic from like a legal and ethical perspective?
Oh, there's a new, I wouldn't say professions, but those people who kind of work on the new technology, but based on the old human instincts. Human instincts being you are drawn to big news, those interesting people. So the new topics, big topics are always a good one. But if they claim to be somebody who would go kind of push forward with the investigation and turn up new and interesting topics and news out of those noteworthy happenings, they claim themselves to be an issue YouTuber because they turn up issues. And because they investigate and turn up the truth, they call themselves vigilantes as well. But the pitfall is that if they do a good job, probably it could be a credit to what the society needs. But a lot of times they can bend the truth. They try to drum up some views and the attentions rather than going to the truth, because the new technology, YouTube, has economic models. They can reward them with a lot of money. And they in the end, in the worst scenario, is that they fabricate some facts and become a blackmailer, saying that, if you don't pay up, I'm going to, publish this all over the place, regardless of the truthful nature or not. That's exactly what happened with the mukbang YouTuber's blackmailing episode.
Yes. And when we're looking at the actions, the alleged actions of these Deka YouTubers, what kind of criminal or legal action are we actually looking at? So by the legal definition, is this a blackmail, extortion? What might the legal charges be?
Yeah, exactly, those charges. But first of all, the reason why they are called a cyber wrecker or wreck car is that, whenever there's the roadside accidents, next thing you see is that you see all kinds of wreck cars, flocking together to get some business. I think it reminds me of the paparazzis as well.
Yes.
Those big newses where they flock them. Anyway, the kinds of the defamations that they commit, they are governed under Information and Communication Network Act, and it does provide the 7 years or 70 million fine, but they are not efficiently imposed, and the fine itself is not very big. So, and the criminal Act of Korea does not really deal with this kind of activities in an efficient manner because of the new technology and all. So the end result is that these cyber wreck car criminal minds would say that, well, if I get caught, I'll just pay the fine, and the incomes that I generate from this big news is much better or much bigger than the fines that I'll ever pay. So that distorts the motivation of these people and continue to commit these kind of crimes.
Right. From what I understand, at least one of the suspects has, I believe, 7 or 8, several other legal proceedings that are ongoing against him of similar that are quite similar to what he's facing right now. So my question is this. I mean, isn't this a kind of a pattern of behavior? Is there something that the prosecution or legally something that can be done? I mean, it just seems like a pattern of behavior where it's not just like a one-time thing. Oh, I'm very sorry. I've learned from my mistakes, and, can I make up for it? Can I, do something to compensate the victim? But it's a pattern of behavior, it seems.
Yeah, it is a pattern of behavior for not all the issue YouTubers. I think there are a lot of YouTubers who want to supplement the traditional news media and add a certain angles to it and good information to it. But because of the legal structure and because of the economic models they're going for, there is enough kind of pitfalls that they can fall into to turn to the fabricating their facts and turn to blackmailing. So I think that you're right. That there has to be some balance reached with the kinds of actions they commit and also the consequences they could generate. So I think that the legal reform in this regard is pretty compelling at this point.
And when we look at this case, I mean, I think there are so many different points where people are getting angered about this one particular sensational story. But looking at the ethical and legal issues that are present, it's been pointed out that there are no real broadcasting regulations over YouTube or other online content. I mean, is this true? Are there no real regulations, or are there, but they're just not being kind of enforced? Or what are your thoughts, Professor?
Well, the regulations, it's not that there isn't any, but it's not sufficient. And the reason is that we're so used to the traditional media, TV, radio, newspaper, and the new media as they came up, YouTubes and, TikToks and all those, but we have not really caught up with the kinds of pitfalls they can fall into. And I think the big issues involve whether we would be focusing on the freedom of expression and give people as much as possible the freedom to express what they want to do. But on the other hand, we realize that YouTubes are replacing the traditional medias. We get the news, we get the facts from those new platforms and medias. So as a society, we have to turn to whether we are getting the healthy and the correct information or not. So I think it's a very difficult reform agenda at this point, because we don't have the select number of news outlets that we need to kind of get to and regulate. We have millions and millions of news sources. Every YouTuber can be a source of news in different ways. So sometimes we turn to what is the industry standard. For example, YouTube has its own community standard, and also the mechanisms that clean up those things. Or sometimes we turn to the fact checkers.
Yes.
That could be separate from the platform, so that in collaboration, maybe the end result is more closer to the truth than the fabrications. So these are new models that the traditional legal structures have not really tackled. I think that the United States is having some issues and challenges with this, and Korea probably is not far behind, because we're seeing happening at this point, like this cyber car and other cases, that we need to really get to the source of the problems, so that we can really have some peaceful mind in using this media.
Professor, I do want to ask you about this particular lawyer who seems to be in the mix of this story with this YouTuber, Ji Yang. This lawyer who purportedly, released or handed over her personal information to these other YouTubers. Anyhow, released her personal information. Is this okay? Is this ethical? Isn't our private information supposed to be private? I mean, just handing over our private information, is that okay?
Well, if the information handed over is a privileged information,
right,
then most likely it's a very serious the violation of his ethical code.
Right.
But of course, every privilege can be waived. So the client who can claim the privilege says it's okay for whatever reason. If he waived it, then that would be okay. But this is a very dicey kind of situation. Whenever you're dealing with the sensitive information, you're releasing it. Not only those people who are waiving that privilege is concerned, but there might be a situation where he has no place of waiving those rights that involves other people's sensitive information. So I think that whenever the lawyer decides to release those informations in the sensitive nature, he's in a way kind of sticking his or her neck out a little bit, because it's a simple matter of getting a release form or the waiver form from the client, but it could involve the public goods nature and other people's information, in a very complicated way.
Right. For our last question for you today, Professor, for the platform itself, I know that obviously we would hope that the content creators could kind of police themselves, but obviously they're not. What is the platform or platforms like it? What are they doing to regulate such content?
Well, a very important question, because as we're talking about it, it's not just a law that can take care of all these things because of the complexity of the technologies. For example, YouTube has its own, community standard, and I think the most the effective means of getting to these the undesirable the behavior is to cut off from their profits, right? These YouTubers are active because they make money out of it, but if they cannot do that, then probably they'll stop doing it. And in fact, we see that when the YouTube cuts off the money making, the qualifications, many of them kind of dropped off, right?
Yes.
So that would be kind of the standard that the companies themselves might enforce. But I think you have to make it a law that this kind of activities is a by itself unjust enrichment, that they have no place in profiting from it. So I think it adds to the need for the legal reform to get to this kind of behaviors. But again, you have to work with the industry, you have to work with the company, and also work with the third party fact checkers and those people who will rate those services in terms of the truthfulness and the how beneficial they are to the society and individuals. So I think that those kind of collaborations or networks of enforcement is needed, not just law.
Indeed. Such a hard balance to find, to strike with all the parties involved. But thank you so much for shedding a light onto this very hot topic and your legal expertise. Thank you, Professor.
My pleasure. Thank you.
This was Professor Song Se-ryun once again checking in with us, shedding light onto this hot issue. But, one phrase that really stuck out to me, unjust enrichment, meaning these so-called Leka YouTubers making money, making profits off of these defamatory statements and blackmailing other people. Yes, and once you cut off those profits, what happened? Apologies, in hindsight, is that enough? Well, anyhow, this story, of course, is still unfolding, and we'll report on the latest. This was our special interview. We are going to get to our song break. Here it is, Carry On by Fun.
Well, I woke up to the sound of silence. The cars were cutting like knives in a fist fight. And I found you with a bottle of wine, your head in the curtains and heart like the 4th of July. You swore and said we are not shining stars. This I know, I never said we are. Though I've never been through hell like that, I've closed enough windows to know you can never look back. If you're lost and alone, or you're sinking like a stone, carry on. May your path be the sound of your feet upon the ground. Carry on. Carry on, carry on. With some friends at the edge of the night at a bar of 75, and we talked about how our parents will die, all our neighbors and why. But I'd like to think I can
It's time for City Insights. We have Haeyeon in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so we're going to dive in to our first insight. What have you brought for us today?
Okay, so there are about 2.6 million people with disabilities who are registered in our country.
Okay.
But it seems that a lot of the challenges that they face are still not recognized by society, whether it's through policy or perception. So today our first insight comes from the director of the Haeyeondae Center for Independent Living of People with Disabilities, Ms. Kim Jung-mi.
Oh, I hear before helming the center that she was a member of the center. Is that true?
So Ms. Kim Jung-mi is visually impaired, and she used to receive the activity support services when the center first opened in 2008.
Okay.
And at the time, she was always given information on rehabilitation, but the very hard work and effort that was required made her question whether overcoming one's disability was truly achievable and whether that should be the ultimate goal. So instead, the idea of independent living, which frames disability issues as more societal than personal, that was refreshing to her.
Okay.
So since then, she's envisioned the center as a place for happy, independent living.
Yes.
And, you know, when we talk about disability policies, you know, there are two different thoughts.
Sure.
You know, and these days, a lot of people think that we should be supporting the independence for them. And I'm sure that some of our listeners are wondering, what does independent living exactly mean for those living with disabilities?
Right.
So in a moment, we'll listen to a clip where I asked Ms. Kim Jung-mi this very question. So let's take a listen.
장애인의 자립생활이라는 것은 뭔가 거창하고 대단한 것을 의미하는 것은 아닙니다. 일반적인 비장애인들 삶처럼 아주 보편적이고 평범한 삶을 누리면서 시설이 아닌 지역사회 속에서 함께 살아가야 한다는 게 자립생활인데요. 우리가 일반적으로 비장애인의 삶을 보면 어머니 뱃속에서 나와서 부모님의 사랑을 받고 성장하고 또 학교에 가서 친구들과 관계를 맺고 지내고 또 성인이 되면 사회 직장을 다니면서 또 사회와 관계를 맺고 또 사랑하는 사람 만나서 결혼하고 또 이렇게 평범하고 보편적인 삶이 장애인들한테는 그렇지 않다는 것입니다. 그래서 장애인도 자신의 삶을 스스로가 결정하고 선택해서 컨트롤하면서 그렇게 지역 사회에서 주체적으로 살아가야 한다는 게 장애인의 자립생활입니다.
She shared that independent living for people with disabilities, it's not something grand or extraordinary. It simply means living an ordinary life within the community rather than living in facilities. So, you know, the mundane milestones in life that we take for granted as able-bodied people, like growing up with the love of our parents, going to school, having friends, getting a job and falling in love and starting a family.
Right.
You know, we see this as a very ordinary thing, but this isn't the same for people with disabilities. She says independent living means that people with disabilities should also be able to choose and decide their own lives with self-agency and live as active members of our communities.
So what types of support programs do they provide?
So they provide resources and support that's tailored to the needs of each person, including issues of discrimination or abuse. They have a fun YouTube channel as well called 짜장소스 TV. And they also provide education on social norms and etiquette that's necessary for living in the community for people who have developmental disabilities. And, you know, these programs, they're very helpful, but she also emphasized that it's so important to have an inclusive and embracing attitude from able-bodied members of the society, too. And I want to note that the YouTube channel, I forgot, it's an acronym for something. 짜증나는 장애인들의 뭐 서서 I forgot that, but it's an acronym. But yeah, so if you're interested, they have a lot of fun content.
Right. But it's shortened to 짜장소스.
Yeah.
소스. Okay, so it's not 짜장소스 as our producer thought. It's 짜장소스. There's a reason. Okay. Yes.
All right. Shall we move on to our second insight?
Yes.
So I got to learn about social enterprises from the chairperson of the Busan Social Enterprise Council, Mr. Lee Kwang-gu.
Ooh, and so tell us, what exactly is social enterprise?
So it's basically a hybrid between for-profit and non-profit organizations, but it prioritizes positive social impact over profit by creating jobs for disadvantaged groups.
Right.
And in Busan, there are enterprises providing senior care services and jobs or employing vulnerable groups in our society for cleaning. And also they sometimes connect artists with businesses.
Yes.
And also companies that build social housing at 80% of market rates. So there are about 300 social enterprises in Busan.
Yes.
Yeah, actually 200. Yes.
200.
And but there have been some government budget cuts, so they are going through a hard time. And Mr. Lee Kwang-guk is actually the CEO of his own social enterprise, and it's called Urban Bridge.
Yes.
And they're all about revitalizing the area of Dongnae with local content that's unique to Dongnae and building community facilities. So, for example, he created a community center near Dongnae Market.
Sure.
So it's this co-working space for young entrepreneurs. It can also turn into a shared guest house for local tourism. And there's even a shared kitchen to like a communal kitchen to boost the local community.
I see. I see.
And he shared that he was so passionate talking about public housing and housing rights. And that passion started ever since he was living and volunteering at this area called 물만골 in Yeonsan-dong, which used to be this large unauthorized housing area in Busan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all this redevelopment and reconstruction happening here in Busan, I'm sure he has some opinions on this.
Yes. So actually in the next clip, Mr. Lee Kwang-guk talks about what he thinks should be the core value of social housing and housing culture in Busan and in Korea. Let's take a listen.
저희가 하고 있는 사회주택의 핵심 가치는 다양성인 것 같아요. 저희가 이제 동네에 만들어 놓은 공간은 저희가 만들고자 하는 청년형 사회주택의 일종의 모델하우스 기업입니다. 미드 프렌즈를 아마 보셨을 분들이 많을 것 같은데요. 그 보면은 맨 아래층에는 카페가 있죠. 모두가 모일 수 있는. 그리고 이제 저희는 그 2층에는 이제 일할 수 있는 코워킹 스페이스가 있고, 그리고 취미와 취향을 공유할 수 있는 소셜 다이닝, 유튜브 스튜디오, 그리고 뭐 전통 차실 뭐 이런 게 같이 있고, 뭐 이런 형태가 있고 위에 주거 공간이 있는 형태라고 볼 수 있죠. 사회주택의 한 예 중에 반려동물형 사회주택이 있는데, 이것 같은 경우는 1층에 이제 각 호실별로 자기 애완동물의 목줄을 걸 수 있는 그 목줄 거리가 다 있어요. 그리고 그 옆에는 밖에 갔다 왔으니까 반려동물의 발을 씻길 수 있는 그런 공간이 1층 출입구 바로 옆에 있는 거죠. 지금 한국의 주거 구조는 대부분 이제 아파트죠, 사실. 그런데 대부분의 아파트 구조가 브랜드만 다르지 거의 비슷한 형태를 띠고 있는데요. 저는 이게 약간 다양성을 막는 것 같아요.
So he said that the core value of social housing, he thinks it should be diversity. In Dongnae, they've created a youth-oriented social housing space, sort of inspired by the American sitcom Friends, with community areas, cafes, and they even have a YouTube studio for creators. And for pet-friendly social housing, they have things like leash hooks and a pet washing station at the entrances. And artist social housing include performance halls in the basement and also communal workspaces. And in the newlywed social housing, there's a childcare area on the first floor and even a children's pool on the rooftop.
Yes.
He says, these days, most housing in Korea is uniform apartments, right? And he thinks that our society lacks diversity partly due to the lack of diverse living spaces. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I do too. I love that, having kind of a communal feeling.
Yeah.
That's kind of missing.
And as we're getting more diverse, more one household, one person households, and different types of families, I think our housing culture can shift as we go along.
I agree too. People they're up in arms even if there's like a footpath going through an apartment like complex. People get really annoyed even if like non-apartment dwellers walk through, even like 우리 아파트 사람들이 우리 아파트 안쪽으로 들어오는 것도 이제 요즘 싫어하잖아요. We're living in that era, right? So it's kind of A little sad, I think. Anyhow.
Let's get more communal.
Yes, let's. Well, thank you so much for bringing these two very interesting city insights to our listeners, and we look forward to next week as well. Thank you, Han.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, it's time to wrap things up already. Thanks for tuning in and chiming in. Here is 월급은 통장을 스칠 뿐. 슬프네요. Stella Chang. Enjoy. Bye, everybody.
어서 와요. 곧 떠나겠지만 잠시나마 즐거웠어요. 잘 가세요. 하지만 다음엔 좀 오래오래 머물다가요. 난 내일 손꼽아 기다려. 한 달에 한 번 그댈 보는 날. 가난한 내 마음을 가득히 채워줘. 눈 깜짝하면 사라지지만. 반가워요. 오랜만이지만 볼 때마다 아름답네요. 가지 마요. 난 그대 없으면 말 그대로 거지란 말이에요.